Hello, friends. Today is Thursday, March 3rd, and welcome back to Centering for Lent. We're on our 17th practice today, and we're nearing the end of our Celtic Spirituality Week. Today, we're going to take a bit of an unconventional approach in our spiritual practice, which will require a little bit of reflection on your part. So, Celtic spirituality has this rich tradition of using images and sculptures quite frequently. They've traditionally been very keen to use these visual media in order to enhance or focus a spiritual practice or even a corporate worship service. If you visit the Iona or Northumbria communities, which are two of the most famous centers for Celtic spirituality today, you'll notice lots of sculptures and lots of visual depictions meant to stimulate reflection on God and on nature. Now, most churches in America, if they're not Catholic, are not used to this because there's some form of Protestant church. And a big gripe of the Protestants back 500 years ago when we were forming was that all of the visuals and the intricacies of these grand Gothic cathedrals were really ostentatious and also a distraction from God. So they opted for very plain, whitewashed sanctuaries. It was one of the main ways that they distinguished themselves from Catholic tradition. So this really has continued. We're really left with this legacy because apart from stained glass windows, if you go into most Protestant churches today, even ones that are being built recently, there's very little in the way of creative art in most worship spaces and in most churches today. We're just not very creative with that media. So in order to capture the spirit today, we're going to reflect on beauty as a spiritual practice. Yes, beauty. We don't often equate God with beauty, but we certainly should. When you're standing at the foot of a waterfall or on the top of a mountain and you sense a connection with the divine, the first words that roll off of our lips are usually something like, "Wow, isn't that beautiful?" That's because it is. Right? A sunset, a canyon, the bright feathers of a bird, they all point us to a God who loves beauty. And we are drawn to it as well, right? Through painting and photography, but also through beautiful thoughts and beautiful gestures of compassion and kindness that people extend to one another. We are wired to be attracted to beauty. And it is a place where God is easily found and easily connected to. So we'll seek to embrace this reality today. So for our practice, I invite you to find an image or something that you find especially beautiful. It can be a photograph, a painting, maybe even a piece of poetry or a sculpture, anything that you think of is beautiful. And this will be your piece of beauty for our practice, and we'll refer to it over again. It's going to be the center of our practice today. So go ahead and pause the audio at this point and go ahead and find your piece of beauty and bring it before you or pull it up so that you can use it as the center of your practice today. Okay, great. You have your piece of beauty. So now find a comfortable position. Sink into the moment, feet firmly on the floor, or find a comfortable position if you're sitting on the floor, and carve out some silence today. As you gaze on this piece of beauty, notice it in its fullness. And as you do, just become aware of your breathing. Settle into this moment and into your body. Your breath, maybe it's shallow, maybe it's quick. Just go ahead and let it mellow a little. A little slower, a little deeper, a little more steady. Inhaling and exhaling, and giving thanks for the air that is filling your lungs. Bring your attention back to your piece of beauty now, and notice it again as a whole piece. What makes this piece beautiful to you? Is there a story behind it? Does it just fit together well? Is there a particular element or property that stands out as more beautiful? Is there a symmetry to the piece or message that strikes you? Now look upon your piece of beauty one more time, and I invite you now to close your eyes for a moment, but to keep picturing your piece of beauty as you do. How long does this image stay with you? Does it remain sharp and crisp? Are you beginning to lose some parts of it now? It's okay if you do. Just allow those parts to fade away, to melt into the background. What is staying with you about this piece of beauty? What parts are remaining vibrant in your mind? Why do you think it is these parts that stand out, that you can still see? I now invite you to open your eyes and look upon your piece of beauty again. What is standing out to you? What parts faded? Now that you are looking again, focus in on those parts that faded away. Is there anything interesting there? Something you may have missed previously? Remain mindful of your breathing and come back out from focusing and see the piece in its entirety again. What story does it tell? What emotion does it conjure up inside of you? Does your piece of beauty recall any memories or hopes you once had, or that you still carry? Does your piece of beauty remind you of a place that you would love to be at this moment? A place that you would like to spend more time in? Notice the colors in your piece, whether they tend to be warm, energetic colors, or cool, calming colors. Is there a texture that you notice or that comes to mind? Can you imagine the feel of these textures? Do you feel the emotion of the colors? As you become mindful of your breathing again, I invite you to close your eyes again and keep the image of your piece of beauty in your mind. What story does your piece tell? What wisdom does it have for you and for the world? Where do you see God's presence in this piece? Where do you hear God speaking through this beauty? Does the world need more of this kind of beauty? How might you be a part of bringing it to fruition? I invite you now to take a few moments of silence and listen for the voice of God in this beauty. Friends, I invite you to take a moment now and give thanks to God for this moment and for the chance to live in such a beautiful world and for the opportunity to help create a more beautiful world. Softly open your eyes and come back into this space, minding your breathing again, slow and steady. We give ourselves over to the beauty of this moment. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today, friends. I hope that you're finding it a bit easier now to get into this meditative rhythm, to get into that calm headspace, and to open up those connections to see God at work in the world and present with us. It takes practice, it takes a number of weeks, but you will find it beneficial. May you find beauty for beauty's sake as you go out into the world. And know today, as every day, that God is beautiful. Peace, friends.